If you look at a schematic for a city's power grid, the engineering is, well, it's all about managing raw voltage.
Right, the wires and transformers.
Exactly, the breakers.
Yeah.
But what if you had to design an infrastructure to manage, like, human trauma and crime?
That is totally different.
Yeah, that's not just engineering. That's trying to legislate fairness into existence. So welcome to today's custom deep dive for you, the listener. Our mission today is to unpack the architectural blueprint of Mexico City's justice system.
Yeah, the organic law of the Attorney General's office.
Right, and we want to see how it attempts to balance this immense prosecutorial power with, profound social responsibility.
And it's quite a blueprint for you to explore. To understand how crimes are actually prosecuted under this law, you first have to look at the structural DNA.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because, well, legal autonomy gets thrown around a lot. I usually picture it like a sandbox in software engineering.
It's a sandbox, right?
Like an isolated environment that's theoretically protected from outside political hacking. But how does a piece of paper actually build those walls?
Well, it's not just theoretical. What's fascinating here is how the text actually enforces that isolation.
How so?
It doesn't just say, ignore politicians. It builds those sandbox walls by granting strict budgetary and operational independence.
Oh, well.
Yeah, and then it aggressively fills that sandbox with human rights mandates. It demands a gender perspective to recognize systemic biases and something called substantive equality.
All right, let me stop you there. Substantive equality, is that just a fancy legal way of saying everyone is equal?
Actually, no. I mean, formal equality is treating everyone exactly the same. Substantive equality acknowledges that the playing field, well, it isn't level to begin with.
Right, that makes sense.
It means the prosecutor's office must actively remove systemic barriers for marginalized groups.
Like based on ethnicity or gender identity.
Exactly, or disability. So the outcome is actually fair. For example, it demands successive protective orders for women facing violence the very second a complaint is received.
Bypassing the usual bureaucracy.
Yes, bypassing all those delays.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. If the system is wired to fast-track protection for the vulnerable, how does it handle the heavy hitters?
The really big cases.
Right. I'm assuming a complex murder case is treated differently than, like, petty theft. Does the law explicitly categorize the hardest cases?
It does, yeah. It defines a specific category called complex crimes.
Oh, okay. What triggers that?
It's triggered legally by factors like severe human rights violations, or serial crimes.
Real crimes, right?
Yeah, or high social impact. And crucially, crimes involving public servants.
So if a politician or an officer is involved, it automatically gets elevated scrutiny.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. But for the victims in these massive cases, going through the justice system can be its own kind of trauma.
Exactly, which is why the law dictates strict anti-revictimization protocols.
Does that mean what I think it means? Like a victim only has to tell their traumatic story once.
Yes, rather than repeating it to 5 different detectives, that's a perfect example of how it works mechanically.
That is huge.
It really is. It limits unnecessary interviews and psychological evaluations. And there is also an explicit mandate to prioritize the best interest of the child at all costs.
Wait, so what happens if a kid doesn't have a lawyer?
The ministry actually has the duty to step in and act as their legal representative, or even if their current guardians are the ones putting them at risk.
Wow. So what does this all mean? We have this incredibly empathetic framework, but, a socially conscious legal framework is basically meaningless without impartial leadership.
Right, someone has to run it.
Exactly. So who gets to actually be the fiscal general, and how are they vetted?
Well, the statutory requirements are quite specific. There's a minimum age of 35, 5 years of legal experience, and a totally clean criminal record.
Okay, standard stuff.
And they cannot have held a leadership position in any political party in the year prior to their appointment.
I've got to push back on that last one. A 1-year ban.
It sounds short, I know.
That seems like a terribly thin firewall against the political hacking we talked about earlier. Someone could just step down from a party in January and run the justice system next February.
Yeah, but the logic is about balancing political detachment with actual recent public administration experience.
Right, I guess that's true.
Because if you make the ban 10 years, you end up excluding highly qualified public servants. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the real firewall isn't that 1-year rule.
It isn't. Then what is?
It's the Judicial Citizen Council.
Okay, so how does that council work mechanically to stop corruption?
It's a multi-layered filter. This Council of Citizens evaluates the candidate's performance and proposes a shortlist to the head of government.
Got it.
Then the head of government picks from that vetted list and sends it to Congress for a final vote.
So politicians only get to vote on candidates that a citizen council has already cleared.
Precisely.
It's an incredible balancing act. Looking at this source, you see an institution meticulously designed to be scientifically rigorous, yet, fiercely protective of the vulnerable.
Definitely. But this raises an important question for you to consider. The law successfully outlines a highly evolved, empathetic justice system on paper.
Right, on paper.
But how does an institution perfectly translate these rigid, multi-layered statutory requirements into handling the messy, urgent realities of human trauma on a Tuesday night at 2 a.m.?
That is the ultimate test of the blueprint, isn't it?
Yep.
The math on paper might look perfect, but the real world never is. Well, that's something for you to chew on until our next deep dive.